Keeping the Pacific nuclear-free in line with the Rarotonga Treaty has been a recurring theme this week from the leaders of Tonga, Cook Islands and Samoa to New Zealand's visiting ministers. RNZ Pacific's Alicia Foon is in Apia and has been covering Foreign Affairs Minister Winston Peters and Health and Pacific Peoples Minister Shane Retty's three-country tour of Polynesia.
The New Zealand government's Pacific mission wraps up today with the final leg in Samoa. Over the course of the trip, defence and security in the region has been discussed with the leaders of Tonga, Cook Islands and Samoa. In Apia, the Samoa Prime Minister Fiame Naomi Mataafa addressed regional concerns about Aukus. New Zealand is considering joining Pillar 2 of the agreement, a non-nuclear option, but critics have said this could be seen as Aotearoa rubber-stamping Australia's acquiring nuclear-powered submarines.
I think I've indicated to the Deputy Prime Minister, as a region, the security arrangements that we have is vested in the Rarotonga Treaty. You know, both Australia and New Zealand are members of the regional organisation, the Pacific Island Forum, and we would hope that both administrations will ensure that the provisions under the Rarotonga Treaty are taken into consideration with these new arrangements.
New Zealand's previous Labour government was more cautious in its approach to joining Aukus because it said Pillar 2 had not been clearly defined, but the coalition government is looking to take action. Prime Minister Fiame says she does not want the Pacific to become a region affected by more nuclear weapons.
What I have indicated to the Deputy Prime Minister is that as a region that has been impacted by nuclear effect, still ongoing, especially in the North Pacific with the Marshall Islands, and a semblance of it still in the south with Tahiti, that we cannot not present that voice in these international arrangements. We don't want the Pacific to be seen as an area that, you know, people will take license of nuclear arrangements.
The Treaty of Rarotonga prohibits signatories, which include Australia and New Zealand, from placing nuclear weapons within the South Pacific. Cook Islands Prime Minister Mark Brown says Pacific leaders were in agreement over the security matter.
Well, I think our stand mirrors that of all the Pacific Island countries, where we want to keep the Pacific region nuclear weapons free, nuclear free, and that hasn't changed. It was discussed at the Leaders Forum that possibly a review or revisit, if you like, of the Rarotonga Treaty should take place, particularly in light of things like the Aukus arrangement, things like the Fukushima disaster in Japan, the state of the nuclear storage facility in the Marshall Islands. All of these things are now coming to the forefront as topics of discussion amongst Pacific leaders. So again, I think an open discussion with our partners such as New Zealand, Australia and others on these matters. It's timely that we have them now, moving forward.
Last year, Fiji's Prime Minister Sitiveni Rabuka proposed a Pacific peace zone, which was discussed during the Pacific Islands Forum in the Cook Islands. This year, Tonga will be hosting, and matters of security and defence involving Aukus will likely be a major talking point. Tonga's acting Prime Minister, Samoa Vaipolo, acknowledged New Zealand's sovereignty and suggested a talanoa was the best process.
We don't interfere with what other countries do. It's their sovereignty and they make their own decisions. We keep to ourselves what we want to do. Yes, Pacific is a region of peace. We can use the Talanoa process.
Foreign Affairs Minister Winston Peters and Health and Pacific Peoples Minister Shane Retty reiterated that they care and have listened to the needs outlined by Pacific leaders. They say New Zealand will deliver on funding promises to support improvements in the areas of health, education and security of the region. They are scheduled to arrive back in Aotearoa with their delegation on Saturday.